Good afternoon, welcome to Midday Prime. In the next 1 hour, we bring you all the stories and updates from India and from around the world. We'll update you about the happenings in the world of business and sports, and we'll get you some interesting stories that are making the headlines. But first up, the big news of this hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds the Svanidhi Samvaad with street vendors from Madhya Pradesh through video conferencing, says the scheme to immensely help street vendors to re-establish their businesses, especially those largely impacted by the COVID pandemic. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to attend the meeting of the Council of Foreign Ministers of SCO starting today, holds meeting with his Kyrgyz counterpart Chingiz Ayderbekov on the SCO sidelines. Key accused in the Sushant Singh Rajput's death case, Riya Chakrabarti reaches Baikula jail. Riya sent to 14 days of judicial custody by a magistrate court till the 22nd of September. She was arrested by the NCB yesterday. Riya's brother Shovik will be produced in court today following the end of his remand. India's COVID recovery rate improves to 77.77%. Also, low case fatality rate 1.69% as compared to the global average of 3.28%. 17 states and union territories reporting mortality figures lower than 1%. India continues to scale new heights in COVID-19 tests. Over 11.5 lakh tests conducted in the last 24 hours. Phase 3 trials of COVID-19 vaccine being developed by Oxford University and AstraZeneca paused after a serious adverse event reported in a participant in UK. The nature of safety issue and when it happened are not known immediately. And in the US Open in women's singles, 2018 Open champion Naomi Osaka and Jennifer Brady advanced to the semi-finals. In the men's singles, Alexander Zverev advances to the semi-finals. And let's begin the show with the big news of this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today held Svanidhi Samvaad with street vendors from Madhya Pradesh through video conferencing. PM Svanidhi scheme was launched by the Government of India on the 1st of June 2020 to help street vendors and small shops facing loss in business due to the corona crisis resume livelihood activities. During his address, the Prime Minister congratulated Madhya Pradesh government for their efforts that ensured that the benefit of Svanidhi scheme to more than 1 lakh street vendors in Madhya Pradesh in just 2 months' time. Madhya Pradesh government has registered 4.5 lakh street vendors who are eligible for loans. Besides, the MP government has issued identity cards and certificates to more than 4 lakh street vendors.
2 महीने के समय में मध्य प्रदेश में 1 लाख से ज्यादा स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स, रेहड़ी पटरी वालों को स्वनिधि योजना का लाभ सुनिश्चित हुआ है। कोरोना के बावजूद इतने कम समय में 4.5 लाख रेहड़ी पटरी वालों को पहचान पत्र देना, सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ वेडिंग देना, मैं समझता हूं ये बहुत बड़ा काम है। मुझे विश्वास है कि अन्य राज्य भी मध्य प्रदेश के इस प्रयास से प्रेरणा लेकर के जरूर प्रोत्साहित होंगे।
And Prime Minister Modi said that the process under the scheme has been made very simple so that street vendors do not face any problems.
इस योजना को ऐसे ही इतना सरल बनाया गया है कि सामान्य से सामान्य व्यक्ति भी इससे जुड़ सके। इसमें टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से ऐसी व्यवस्था की गई है कि रेहड़ी ठेले वाले साथियों को कागज जमा कराने के लिए लंबी लाइनें नहीं लगानी होगी। आप कॉमन सर्विस सेंटर में, नगर पालिका कार्यालय में, बैंक की ब्रांच में जाकर अपना आवेदन अपलोड कर सकते हैं। यही नहीं, बैंक के बिजनेस कॉरेस्पोंडेंट और नगर पालिका के कर्मचारी भी आपके पास आकर आपसे आवेदन ले सकते हैं।
The Prime Minister said that COVID-19 lockdown affected the businesses of street vendors. The purpose of the Svanidhi Samvaad scheme is that those people can start afresh and begin their work again easily.
कोरोना के कारण बाजार बंद हो गए, खुद की जान बचाने के लिए लोग घरों में ज्यादा रहने लगे, तो इसका बहुत बड़ा असर ये हमारे रेहड़ी पटरी वाले भाई बहन हैं, उनके कारोबार पर पड़ा। उनको मुश्किलों से निकालने के लिए ही प्रधानमंत्री स्वनिधि योजना की शुरुआत हुई है। इस योजना का मकसद है कि वो लोग नई शुरुआत कर सके, अपना काम फिर शुरू कर सके। इसके लिए उन्हें आसानी से पूंजी मिले। ये भी पहली बार हुआ है कि रेहड़ी पटरी वालों के लाखों लोगों के नेटवर्क को सही मायने में सिस्टम से जोड़ा गया है।
The Prime Minister reiterated the government's commitment towards working for deprived sections of society. He added that unprecedented work has been done in the past 6 years, which has benefited the poor, the downtrodden, the unprivileged and deprived people.
कोरोना वैश्विक महामारी के दौरान पहले दिन से सरकार का, देश का ये प्रयास रहा है कि गरीब की जितनी दिक्कतें हम कम कर सके, उसको कम करने के लिए सक्रिय रूप से प्रयास करें। देश ने इस दौरान हमारे देश के ऐसे जो लोग तकलीफ में थे, उनके खाने की चिंता की, राशन की चिंता की, मुफ्त गैस सिलेंडर भी दिए गए। प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण रोजगार अभियान चलाकर लाखों लोगों को इस दौरान रोजगार भी दिया गया।
The Prime Minister also said that the government has initiated flagship schemes for ensuring better houses for street vendors in urban areas. He added that under the One Nation, One Ration Card facility, people can take ration from anywhere across the country.
देश का प्रयास है कि हर एक देशवासी का जीवन आसान हो, हर एक देशवासी समर्थ हो, सशक्त हो और सबसे बड़ी बात आत्मनिर्भर हो। हाल में सरकार ने शहरों में आप जैसे साथियों के उचित किराए में बेहतर आवास उपलब्ध कराने की एक बहुत बड़ी योजना उसको शुरू की है। एक देश, एक राशन कार्ड की सुविधा से आप देश में कहीं भी जाएंगे तो अपने हिस्से का सस्ता राशन आप उस शहर में भी ले पाएंगे। आप जहां जाएंगे, आपका हक भी आपके साथ साथ चलेगा।
The Prime Minister interacted with the beneficiaries of PM Svanidhi scheme in Indore, Gwalior and Raisen districts. Prime Minister Modi also inquired about the benefits of other schemes of the government which were given for the welfare of street vendors.
छगनलाल जी बताइए, अपने विषय में पहले बताइए जरा, आप क्या काम करते हैं?
इससे सर आपकी जो स्वनिधि का मुझे लाभ मिला है, उससे जो लॉकडाउन में जो मेरी परेशानी हुई थी और धंधा नहीं चल पा रहा था, उससे मेरा वापस नए सिरे से धंधा चालू हो चुका।
दिन भर में कितने झाड़ू बना लेते हैं आप?
सर ये दिन भर में करीबन 50 या 60 झाड़ू मिलके हम परिवार सहित बीवी बच्चे मिलके बना लेते हैं।
सरकार जो गरीबों के लिए व्यवस्था करती हैं, घर की, बिजली की, गैस की, क्या आपको भी इसका कोई लाभ मिला है क्या?
जी सर, हमें तो इस हर चीज का प्रॉपर पूरा लाभ मिला सर। स्वनिधि योजना से सर मुझे इतना लाभ हुआ और मतलब इतना फास्ट हुआ ये मेरा काम कि जैसे मेरा जो कर्ज था मैंने वो भी चुका दिया।
नमस्ते अर्चना जी।
नमस्कार सर।
आपके पतिदेव क्या करते हैं?
जी सर, वो पहले ठेला चलाते थे, सब्जी का ही ठेला लगाते थे सर। पर अभी मतलब थोड़ी तबीयत खराब, स्वास्थ्य सही होने के ना कारण है ना, वो घर में ही रहते सर अभी।
तो सारा कारोबार आपने संभाल लिया?
जी 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 सर।
तो घर भी संभालती हो और टिकी सेंटर भी संभालती हो?
जी।
शुरुआत में पैसे लगे होंगे, पूंजी लगी होगी, तो क्या किया आपने?
पूंजी तो सर जो आपका ये 10,000 रुपये का लोन आया था सर, उससे मैंने सर दोबारा चालू किया। पहले मेरा लॉकडाउन में सर धंधा बंद हो चुका था, फिर मैंने ये आपके जो 10,000 का लोन मुझे बैंक से मिला, उसके बाद मैंने दोबारा चालू कर लिया इसे।
तो ये पैसा लेने में कोई दिक्कत आई क्या बैंक से आपको?
दिक्कत नहीं आई।
अर्चना जी, आपने बड़ी बहादुरी के साथ ये मुश्किल समय में अपने परिवार को भी संभाला है। आप जैसी बहनें, बेटियां पूरे समाज को प्रेरित करती हैं।
प्रधानमंत्री को डाल दिन का नमस्कार सर।
नमस्ते भैया।
सर मैं सब्जी का ठेला लगाता हूँ, मंडी से खरीद के लाता हूँ सर कुछ, और अपने किराए से जमीन लेके उसमें सब्जी उगा के बेचता हूँ सर ठेला पे।
कोरोना के कारण जो लॉकडाउन हुआ
जी,
उससे सब्जी पर भी कुछ न कुछ तो असर पड़ा होगा, माल बेचने में भी?
जी सर पड़ा था सर। वो भिंडी जो है कम रेट में बिका, लौकी, खीरा वगैरह जो बहुत कम रेट में मिला, तो सर मुझे उस टाइम पे मुनाफा नहीं हुआ।
इस दौरान आपका घर और चूल्हा चलता रहे, इसके लिए सरकार ने अनेक योजना चलाई। महिलाओं के खाते में पैसे भी जमा किए, मुफ्त जैसे भी सारी सुविधाएं दी गई, राशन भी दिया। क्या आपके परिवार को इन चीजों का लाभ मिला क्या?
सर आपने जो योजना चलाई है, सारी योजनाओं को मेरे पास सर लाभ मिला हुआ है।
तो मेरी तरफ से आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं हैं और आप इसका भरपूर फायदा उठाइए।
जी सर।
And Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan said that the loan of 10,000 rupees under the Svanidhi scheme will immensely help street vendors to re-establish their businesses. He added that Svanidhi scheme is a blessing for the vendors who were largely impacted by the COVID pandemic.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ये अद्भुत योजना स्ट्रीट वेंडर के लिए, आप लोगों के लिए लेके आए, जिसमें 10,000 रुपए तक का ऋण, जिसकी गारंटी भारत सरकार लेगी, प्रधानमंत्री जी की सरकार लेगी, और जिसमें ब्याज भी 7% भारत सरकार चुकाएगी। और इसमें एक अद्भुत बात और है, अगर डिजिटल पेमेंट करेंगे तो 100 रुपया महीने का और लाभ मिलेगा, और 1,200 रुपया एक साल में मिलेंगे तो आपका कुछ भी नहीं लगेगा बिना ब्याज के। और एक साल में अगर सबने चुका दिया तो अगले साल 10,000 के बजाय 20,000 मिल जाएंगे। ये योजना सचमुच में हमारे गरीब पथ विक्रेता भाइयों और बहनों के लिए एक वरदान है।
So what really is this Prime Minister's Svanidhi scheme? Let's look at the main features of this scheme and tell you what really happened today. First, what happened today? The Prime Minister today held the Svanidhi Samvaad, or an interaction with street vendors from Madhya Pradesh. Why Madhya Pradesh? Because Madhya Pradesh got a maximum number of vendors to enlist for this scheme. The PM Svanidhi scheme was launched on the 1st of June in 2020. The aim of this scheme is to help poor street vendors who are impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. It is basically to resume their livelihood activities. 4.5 lakh street vendors registered in Madhya Pradesh alone. About 10 lakh have registered all over the country. Bulk of them, 47%, 4.5 lakh have registered in Madhya Pradesh alone. More than 4 lakh vendors have been given identification and vendor certificates in Madhya Pradesh alone. The Prime Minister mentioned that Madhya Pradesh has done a brilliant job, and he expects that other states of the country should follow the Madhya Pradesh model. Applications of 2.45 lakh eligible beneficiaries have been already presented to the banks. Acceptance has already been granted to 1.4 lakh vendors, and loans worth 140 crore rupees have been dispersed. Madhya Pradesh stands the first in the total applications accepted. As I said, 47% applications from Madhya Pradesh alone were received or registered. 10 lakh have been done around the country, of which 4.5 lakhs in the state of Madhya Pradesh. The Prime Minister applauded Madhya Pradesh for that. If we look at what this does, well, it has been a long pending demand of the street vendors because they are the unorganized sector. They want the government to give them money to start their businesses, and because of COVID-19 they were impacted. So this scheme helps to enables them to access affordable working capital credit that they can put in and start their small businesses, like he was interacting with, say, tikki walas or somebody who's selling vegetables. The benefits it benefits those looking to restart their businesses post the COVID-19 lockdown, because the capital becomes a huge issue for these people, given that the economic strata of society that they come from. The scheme has been launched by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. It aims to facilitate collateral-free working capital loans of up to 10,000 rupees per vendor for a 1-year tenure. This is expected to serve about 50 lakh street vendors in urban areas. It also those from surrounding peri-urban rural areas to resume their businesses. So it targets not just urban but semi-urban and rural as well. Incentives in the form of interest subsidy at 7% per annum on regular repayment of loans is offered. Once you repay your loan, you get a subsidy on the interest rate. Cashback of up to 1,200 rupees per annum on undertaking prescribed digital transactions provided. So the government is encouraging Digital India also through this scheme. Also eligibility for enhanced next tranche of loan. So the next tranche of loan, your eligibility goes up. Envisages bringing banks and other banks at the doorsteps of the nano entrepreneurs. You don't need to go to the bank. It reduces a lot of hassles, because engaging with banks, getting that is gets tough for the vendors. To enhance non-banking financial companies and microfinance institutions, or the MFIs, as lending institutions, not just banks but also NBFCs and MFIs. To engage scheduled commercial banks, that's public and private, regional banks, rural banks, cooperative banks. So this credit capital can be got from all these institutions. Onboarding of vendors on digital payment platforms, important component to build the credit profile of the vendors. You build up your credit profile, you get benefits of that, the ones that I listed out earlier. To help vendors become part of the formal urban economy. The vendors basically fall in the unorganized sector, so it's also an initiative to bring them under an organized employment sector. Small industries development banks of India, or the SIDBI, is the implementation partner. So SIDBI is the implementation partner here. There's a graded guarantee cover is provided on portfolio basis to lending institutions. Well, the cover through Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for micro and small enterprises. The aim primarily is to encourage lending to street vendors so that they can restart their businesses, especially those impacted by the COVID crisis. I'm also joined in by my colleague Arun Sharma, who tracks this for us. Arun, if I can come to you and ask you, what would be the impact of this straight away to the street vendors?
Well, talking about the impact, it primarily provides ease to these street vendors. Now, what government is targeting under this PM Svanidhi scheme to cover close to 5 million street vendors of our country. And so far, close to 1 million street vendors have applied for taking loan. That means the loan applications have been received by the government under the PM Svanidhi scheme, out of which 0.3 million, that means close to 3.5 lakh loans have been sanctioned by the government. Now, let's try to understand this, Amrit, that so far, if in case a street vendor or poor people, if in case they're looking for loan, they actually turn towards money lenders, or what we call it as sahukars in tier 2 towns, in villages, in rural areas. Now, these money lenders on many occasions charge interest rate up to 45%, 50%. So that's the case. So on a loan of 10,000 rupees, they charge interest rate of maybe 40% or 45%.
And other forms of exploitation that they fall prey to.
Yeah, that's right. So actually, more than the principal amount, these street vendors or poor people were paying interest on more interest than the principal amount. So now this scheme or PM Svanidhi primarily provides very much a cushion to the street vendors. So now what happens is, under the PM Svanidhi scheme, you can take a loan up to 10,000 rupees. That's number one. You have to repay this loan in the tenure of 1 year. And you also get an interest subsidy of 7%. So whatever the interest rate that you're being charged by various banks, so you get a direct 7% interest rate as a subsidy, and that gets credited to your bank account. Now, the most important part of it, Amrit, is that now government is trying to digitally literate and is trying to create a digital infrastructure as well. So what happens that if you have taken a loan under PM Svanidhi scheme, if you are doing digital transactions with a wholesaler and of course with a customer. So if in case a street vendor buys raw material from any kind of wholesaler, and if he's making a digital payment, in that case, the street vendor will get a cash back. If in case the same the street vendor, if he accepts the payment from customer via UPI or Bhim UPI or any kind of digital mode, in that case also the street vendor gets primarily a kind of cashback. So in 1 year, a street vendor can earn a cashback up to 1,200 rupees. So that means you've taken a loan of 10,000 rupees, or you're getting an interest subsidy of 7%. On top of that, you get a cashback of up to 1,200 rupees. So technically, it's an interest-free loan for the street vendors. Now, it was necessary for all these street vendors because we know this fact that during the COVID time, the country was under a strict lockdown for 2 months, and afterwards we are in various phases of unlock 1, unlock 2, unlock 3. Now we are in unlock 4. So the economy is restarting, and so the street vendors of our country needs to restart. For restarting any kind of business, you require a working capital or primarily any kind of money, so that you can buy raw material for that.
Right.
But unfortunately, you have to give collateral in many circumstances. Even bank do not provide you any loan if you don't have any kind of collateral. But the good part, Amrit, over here is that under PM Svanidhi scheme, even if you don't have any kind of collateral, I mean, government is not asking for any kind of collateral. So without any collateral, you get a loan of up to 10,000 rupees. So that's a big initiative as far as, of the government is concerned for these street vendors of our country.
The benefits that you've listed out of this scheme are brilliant. They sound great. But one of the basic problems a street vendor faces, say somebody has to go and operate a thela, wants to sell momos, wants to do anything, wants to start a tikki business, approaching the bank, getting the loan processed. They're generally, many of them are not educated. They see that as a big hassle. How does this scheme envisage that, that becomes easier? I think I read one point that it's banks at your door. How explain to us that how accessibility for the vendors becomes easy because of this?
All right. So there are two parts to it. Let's assume this fact that a street vendor is applying for a loan is a tech-savvy street vendor. He understands internet, because we saw that Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with one of the beneficiaries, and he was accepting Bhim and UPI. He was, very much tech-savvy. So in this case, a portal, a web portal, a website has been designed by the government. Now this website, this portal is PM Svanidhi dashboard, under which you primarily can apply for loan in 3 steps. Now you just have to apply on this website. You just have to give your basic details, your personal details, what your income actually is, and what can be roughly estimated your income can be. And you have to give some of the documents related to your business. As you mentioned about Thela or Redi Pattiwala or any kind of street vendor, whatever business you're doing, you just have to upload the proof for that thing or some documents for that thing. The banks will actually approach you with respect to that. Now, in second scenario, if I assume that you are not at all technologically savvy, you can't operate computer, or you can't operate mobile phone, you can't, even operate any kind of digital modes. So in that case, you can actually contact the municipal local bodies in your nearby areas. So under various, in our country, there are various municipal local bodies. So you can approach them, number one.
Okay.
Number two, you can also approach the banking correspondents in our country. So there are various banking correspondents which are deputy reputed by the banks of in our country. So you can also approach the banking correspondents, and they'll do the needful for you. You can also approach various banks. These banks include scheduled commercial bank, public sector banks, regional rural banks, and of course various self-help groups bank. All these are the various category of banks, which also includes small finance bank and small payment banks as well. So you can approach them, and they'll help you out as far as banking is concerned. You'll be surprised to know, Amrit over here, that in many of the cases, the loan gets sanctioned in only 2 days. So not only 48 hours, the loan gets sanctioned to you. Look at the ratio. The government is immediately disbursing the loan, is sanctioning the loan. That close to 10 lakh applications received, out of which 3 lakh have already been sanctioned by the government and under this PM Svanidhi scheme. So yes, ease has been provided. But parallelly, government is also trying to educate, to literate the street vendors digitally as well, so that they become more and more digital literate, and they become tech savvy as far as doing a business is also concerned. Amrit?
All right, Arun, we'll have to leave it there. Many thanks for joining us and giving us an update on that. Well, turning to the other big story, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has reached Moscow. He reached there yesterday evening. He's there for the SCO Foreign Ministers Summit. He'll be attending the meeting of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or the SCO, in Moscow, which is starting from today. India is attending the CFM meet for the third time as the full member of the SCO. The CFM, or the Council of Foreign Ministers meeting, will review the preparations for the forthcoming SCO summit or the Heads of Council summit, also exchange views on international and regional issues. External Affairs Minister is also expected to have several bilateral meetings, including with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, which is scheduled for today. India and Russia enjoy an important strategic partnership, and this year marks the 20th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of the India-Russia Strategic Partnership. Meanwhile, a short while back, Dr. Jaishankar held a meeting with his Kyrgyz counterpart Chingiz Ayderbekov on the SCO sidelines. The External Affairs Minister thanked him for the support in facilitating return of Indian nationals. They also discussed issues of bilateral and regional interest and agreed to enhance the strategic partnership in all spheres. And my colleague Abhishek Jha joins me for more on that story. Abhishek, tell us, when does the Council of Foreign Ministers meet start? We know one bilateral has taken place with the Kyrgyz. The Russian bilateral is scheduled for today. What other bilaterals could we expect?
So Amrit, FM has already has EAM has two meetings with his Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan counterparts. The schedule is like in the evening he's going to have a bilateral with Russian counterpart, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. That will be around 7 p.m. And around 8:30 p.m. Russian President Vladimir Putin is supposed to address this Council of Foreign Ministers through video conference. So that is the broad schedule of today's engagement from India's perspective.
One bilateral, Abhishek, that everybody is looking at, though it has not yet been announced, is the bilateral with Wang Yi. Could we expect that? If that happens, what figures there? Could we see any sort of resolution, any sort of forward movement on the row that is ongoing at the LAC?
Okay, so Amrit, there is everybody is keenly watching over this whole happening, whether Indian Foreign Minister is going to have a meeting with his Chinese counterpart. There are reports that there can be some luncheon meeting where the Russia, India, China bloc under this SCO meeting, they can also have their own arrangements to meet. So at least there is one meeting where Russia, India, China foreign ministers, they will be meeting under the umbrella of RIC forum. Otherwise, the bilateral meeting, whether S. Jaishankar will be having with Wang Yi and when it is going to happen, this has not been confirmed yet, but we can expect there will be something. We know that when Defense Minister Rajnath Singh was in Moscow last week, there was this initiative or invite from the Chinese side where the Chinese Defense Minister wanted to have some conversation with our Defense Minister, and it did take place for almost like 2.5 hours. where both the parties tried to, understand each other's point of view. And our defense minister clearly stated that India would not take it easy for any attempt to violate its sovereignty, and China should understand this. So India did make its point clear in the last week's meeting with the defense minister Rajnath Singh. If it happens this time also, if Jaishankar is going to meet Chinese
My question,
Foreign Minister
Abhishek,
Wang,
is
I'm sure there will be some
the
forward
statement
movement on
that you
this.
refer that India made at the defense ministers' meeting. Our external affairs ministry said that we will not tolerate any transgression, territorial integrity shall not be compromised, our troops are bound to protect our territory. Similar statements have come out of the Chinese foreign ministry and the Chinese side. Now, if this meeting happens, when this meeting happens, could we see any sort of forward movement, any sort of resolution to the ongoing row, any sort of process of de-escalation, disengagement, to some kind of understanding to be achieved on that?
Okay, Amrit, one must not assume too much from this one meeting between the two ministers. But however, this is still a good sign that the two leadership are trying to have a conversation and frequent conversation. Last week we had this with this defense minister of China. Now, if the foreign minister of India and China engages in a conversation, so whether or not that de-escalation or disengagement happens in the immediate afterwards of this conversation, this is a good sign that India and China leadership are trying to talk it out. And we know that diplomacy is a profession of optimism, and one can only hope that through dialogues only such row or such situation or such escalation of tension can be eased down. So this I think this should be taken as a good sign if the meeting of India and China's foreign ministers happens today or tomorrow.
All right, Abhishek, we'll be keenly looking at that. You keep tracking that. We'll keep coming back to you. Thank you for joining us for the moment. And Union Minister of Environment, Forests and Climate Change, Prakash Javadekar, participated in the 15th Sustainability Summit and addressed a session on the Action Agenda for Sustainable and Self-Reliant India special session today. Javadekar spoke about emissions by countries and how India is committed to responsibly play its role in lessening emissions from around the world.
As India, we are not responsible for the emissions and the climate that is happening. It is the advanced countries which have benefited from carbon emissions. They are responsible. But we want to be part of solution. And therefore, we are taking our responsibility in a responsible manner and carrying it out professionally.
Javadekar also mentioned about the Prime Minister's Independence Day speech, where he spoke about India's goal of a sustainable future. He assured that the nation will achieve its goal by 2022.
Prime Minister on 15th August have given the important announcements regarding environment and sustainable future. We will have 100 cities with lesser pollution in the air pollution, and they will breathe cleaner than what they are doing today. And within 4 years, we will show the results. And we yesterday only reviewed the whole situation, and we are here also walking the talk. We will definitely achieve our target in real time.
Speaking on the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission, he said that Atmanirbhar Bharat means lessening of imports and an increase in exports. He also added that this can happen if the nation promotes innovation.
Atmanirbhar Bharat is not cutting away from the world. It is actually engaging more proactively with the world. But we will do less imports and more exports. So that is what the Atmanirbhar Bharat means. And that means becoming innovative. We are already holding hackathons, and that will also become craze in college students. We are also having 3,000 schools with Atal Tinkering Labs, and more than that, we will definitely be able to take upon the challenges of innovation and research. All India will now own innovations.
Defence PSU Hindustan Aeronautics Limited has once again proved its indigenous capability in design and development. HAL's indigenously developed light utility helicopter demonstrated high altitude capability in hot and high weather conditions in the Himalayas recently for about 10 days. The comprehensive test plan was executed at Plea in extreme temperatures. The demonstration included envelope expansion, performance and flying qualities. The helicopter also demonstrated its payload capability in the Siachen Glacier high altitude. During the trials, pilots landed the helicopter at the highest helipads of Amar and Sonam. The initial operational clearance for basic LUH was accorded by the Semilac for the Indian Air Force variant in February this year during Defence Expo 2020 at Lucknow in the presence of the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. And let's now move on to our big developing story at this hour. The story comes from Mumbai. The Bombay High Court today asked the BMC to stop demolition work at Kangana's premises. The decision came as the court heard arguments on a plea filed by Kangana Ranaut's lawyer against the demolition drive by the BMC at her property. Kangana's plea will now be heard tomorrow. The BMC officials in the morning had carried out demolition at Kangana Ranaut's office. It is to be noted that the Bombay High Court had on March 19th passed an order for all municipal corporations in Maharashtra to consider not carrying out any demolition during the pandemic. It added that if a municipal body wants to do this for an extraordinary reasons, it should seek permission of the court. Meanwhile, Kangana Ranaut left from Mohali for Mumbai in the morning. Ranaut has been given Y+ category security and will be protected by about 10 armed commandos who will work in shifts round the clock. This was stated by Union Home Ministry officials. They had said on Monday amid the controversy over her comment that she feared Mumbai police. Ranaut, whose comments led to a spat with the Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut, had said that she felt unsafe in Mumbai after the death of actor Sushant Singh Rajput and also spoke of drug use in a section of the film industry. In another development, Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh has said that Mumbai police will examine allegations that actress Kangana Ranaut consumed drugs. He was replying to a privilege motion in the State Legislative Assembly yesterday. The minister said that Kangana's friend Adhyayan Suman has revealed in an interview that the actress used to do drugs. And for more on that story, I'm joined by my colleague Shishir Shalar, who joins me from Mumbai. Shishir, the Bombay High Court's order has come. It has asked the BMC to stop demolition. Give us what was the plea of the lawyer? What did the court really say in detail?
Well, we haven't got the copy yet, but what we got to know is that the Bombay High Court have given a stay on the demolition here. Okay. And also we got to know is that there was an order from the Bombay High Court which states that due to the pandemic situation in the region, there shouldn't be any demolition activity should be carried out by the municipal corporation, not just BMC but the other municipal corporation in the region as well. Or if there is any required, there should be extraordinary reason to demolish it. That's what the act says here. But obviously what we have seen today, it seems that the BMC must have not taken the permission from the BMC. That's what it looked like the prima facie here. But now the BMC will have to file an affidavit into the court regarding this today's action they have taken here and what will the future course of action, that under what reason they have carried out these activities here. Kangana on the other hand also said that the lawyer has said that whatever activity has been done by the BMC is illegal, and that's the reason it should be considered properly. And now the Kangala has got relief from the Bombay High Court until tomorrow. It's been delayed here, and tomorrow probably in the second half the case will come for the hearing in the Bombay High Court here.
All right, Shishir, has Kangana, we hear that she's left from Mohali on a plane. Has she reached Mumbai?
Kangana just landed in Mumbai just a few hours back here. We have seen here that she left from the airport and heads towards to meet his lawyer here, and probably now it depends on what exactly action the Kangana will take here. Now tomorrow the hearing will start in the afternoon here. Till then they will make their own ground that how they will fight this case here in the court of law. Apart from that, though the political scenario in Maharashtra has completely changed here, because yesterday the 2-day session was concluded, but in spite of that, the issue of Kangana was raised in the House as well. And we've also seen here that the privilege motion was moved against Kangana in the assembly as well as in the council as well. So now what the issue where we've seen here that it has shifted its focus from Sushant Singh Rajput case to the Kangana's case now in house here, especially in the Maharashtra assembly session. We have seen here that the two Shiv Sena MLA have also made a complaint to the Home Minister regarding that Shiv Sena was involved in the drug case also in the past. That's what one of the MLA of Shiv Sena have actually complained to the Maharashtra Home Minister, upon which the Maharashtra Home Minister said that they will look into this case probably and will carry out the investigation in future.
Okay. I understand Riya has been moved to the Baikula jail. What options does she have? Yesterday, her bail plea was rejected. She was sent on a 14-day judicial custody. What are the legal options that she has? Can she apply for bail again? Can she approach a higher court? What is the situation on that?
Well, obviously, the different under the Penal Code of NDPT Act, we have seen here that she has been given to the judicial custody here. Now, for the 3 consecutive days, NCB have actually interrogated Riya and tried to match her statement with the other people, with Shavi Chakravarti, Dipesh Sawant, and Samuel Miranda. And upon getting all these facts from the Riya Chakravarti and other people, finally NCB has got her judicial custody for 14 days. Obviously, after 14 days, Riya can actually go to court here, and they can fight against this also. But NCB, going forward, may ask for another further custody of Riya for the entire investigation in this case here. Now, today probably Shavi Chakravarti and the 2 others, Dipesh Sawant and Samuel Miranda, will also go for the court, and probably NCB may ask for the custody of all these 3 people also for the further investigation. Now, for the 14 days here, what we've got to know is that NCB will inquire the entire matter here, as they got judicial custody. Along with that, who all are other involved in this entire case, in the entire drug syndicate.
All right, Shishir, many thanks for joining us. You keep a track of developments. We'll keep coming back to you. For the moment, many thanks for joining us. And the Bharatiya Janata Party issued a 3-line whip to all its Rajya Sabha MPs, asking them to be present in the House on the 14th of September. The election for the post of Deputy Chairman of the Upper House is slated to take place on September 14th, the first day of the monsoon session of Parliament. The last date for filing the nomination is September 11th till 12 noon. JDU member Harivansh has been fielded as the NDA nominee. The BJP has already started consultations to seek support for the NDA candidate. The monsoon session of Parliament is scheduled to begin from the September 14th and conclude on October 1st without any day off. The Supreme Court today refused to entertain fresh petitions against holding of the NEET undergraduate examination by the National Testing Agency in the time of COVID-19 pandemic. The Apex Court said that the review petition had already been dismissed. All arrangements have been made by the authorities for holding the exam. The court has no reason to interfere with the examinations. And now on to our national crime segment. First, the COVID update. India has progressively maintained a low case fertility rate as compared to the global average of 3.8%. The aim is to achieve the national CFR, or the fertility rate, of less than 1%. There are 17 states and union territories that are, as of today, reporting the mortality figures lower than 1%. This has been made possible by the standard treatment protocol, which has enabled provisions of standardized quality healthcare across states and resulted in low fertility. And selfless service, of course, of the doctors, the paramedics, the support staff in hospitals. 74,894 recoveries were recorded yesterday, taking the cumulative total of recovered patients to 33,98,844. With this, the recovery rate currently stands at 77.77%. India's 3-pronged strategy of test, trace and treat is proving to be a success. The fertility rate currently stands at 1.69%. The number of active COVID-19 cases in India stands at 8,97,394 as of today, which is 20.53% of the total cases reported so far. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, or the ICMR, a total of 5,18,04,067 samples have been tested so far. Of these, 11,54,549 samples were tested yesterday alone. And Union Health Minister Dr. Vardhan digitally participated in the inaugural ceremony of the 73rd session of the WHO Southeast Asia region. Union Minister said that the corona pandemic has impacted healthcare systems. He added that the strong collaborative partnership will help in improving response to overcome the pandemic.
This unprecedented pandemic has significantly impacted our healthcare systems as well as the people. As we continue to lead the war against COVID-19 effectively in the region, sharing of the best practices through such important virtual platforms helps us to do our healthcare systems and response. The challenges faced by member states of WHO Southeast Asia region today as a result of the ongoing health and economic crisis demand strong collaborative partnerships and a collective responsibility to act in order to mitigate the risks imposed by the pandemic.
Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha today reviewed the ongoing construction work at AIIMS site in Vijaypur area of Samba district. The LG directed the executing agency to stick to the timelines and complete the construction work in the stipulated time. The foundation stone of AIIMS Jammu was laid by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi on February 3rd last year, estimated to the cost of 1,661 crore rupees. The project is being executed by a CPWD and was scheduled to be completed in 30 months by August 2022. Once completed, AIIMS Jammu would be a 750-bed hospital with super specialty departments. It shall also have a medical college and a nursing college and will be a green building incorporating the state-of-the-art equipment and technology. And in midday time, it's time for news and updates from the world of business. And my colleague Rukma Datta joins us for more on that. Rukma, tell us what's making news in the world of business and how are the markets doing?
Well, markets trading in red, but that later. First of all, the Reserve Bank of India has specified 5 financial ratios and sector-specific thresholds for resolution of COVID-19 related stressed assets in 26 sectors, including auto components, aviation and tourism. The circular issued by the bank for resolution of the stressed assets is based on the recommendations of the KV Kamath Committee, which submitted its report on the 4th of September. The sectors include automobiles, power, tourism, cement, chemicals, gems and jewellery, logistics, mining, manufacturing, real estate and shipping, among others. The Apex Bank further said the ratios prescribed are intended as floors or ceilings, as the case may be, but the resolution plans will take into account pre-COVID-19 operating and financial performance of the borrower and impact of COVID-19 on its operating and financial performance at the time of finalizing the resolution plan. The Ministry of Labour said in a statement that retirement fund body EPFO has settled 94,41,000 claims totaling 35,445 crore rupees During April to August, despite COVID-19 related restrictions during this period, the Employees Provident Fund organization has settled around 32% more claims compared to the corresponding period of last year, April to August 2019, while the amount disbursed increased by around 13%. And well, to answer your question as to the markets, today markets are trading in red. The Sensex is trading it at, the markets have been dragged by selling in financial stocks mostly, such as Bajaj Finance, IOC, SBI included, Axis Bank. Among sectors, the banking index is down over 2%. The Sensex is trading a little around 38,000, while the Nifty is trading around 11,000. Both are down, the former by around 300 points and the Nifty by around 36 points. And it's back to Amritpal for the rest of Midday Prime.
Thank you, Rukma, so much for that update on the world of business. Thank you. And now let's take a look at what's making news across the globe. Big news coming in from the United Kingdom. Phase 3 trials of the COVID-19 vaccine being developed by the Oxford University and the company AstraZeneca have been paused. They've been paused after a serious adverse event was reported in a participant in the United Kingdom. The nature of the safety issue and when it happened are not immediately known, although the participant is expected to recover. Basically, a participant who was going through the human trials was given this vaccine and he developed illness. Well, reaction to the vaccine and drugs that require hospitalization and life-threatening or are deadly, because of that it has been held. Trial holds a blow to the worldwide hopes for a shot to be ready in the coming months, as AstraZeneca shot was considered by many, including the World Health Organization, to be the leading candidate worldwide in the vaccine. Hours before the trial was temporarily halted, AstraZeneca and 8 other companies working on COVID-19 vaccines signed a pledge to prioritize safety of the vaccine over speedy development. And let's now take a look at updates from across the world on the COVID-19 pandemic. Over 2.77 lakh people have been infected by the virus globally. COVID-19 has claimed the lives of over 9 lakh people worldwide. As many as 1.98 crore recoveries have been registered so far. The United States remains the worst affected in terms of both COVID-19 infections and fatalities. COVID-19 cases have been shooting up in the United States for several weeks now. It has now crossed the 65 lakh mark with 65.14 lakh cases of the virus in the United States alone. US has a death toll surging past the 1.94 lakh mark. Brazil stands second in terms of deaths by COVID-19 with over 1,27,000 deaths occurring due to the virus. And now it's time for the stories from the world of sports. And my colleague Suchitra joins us for more on that. Suchitra, tell us what's happening in the US Open.
Yes, first up the update from the US Open. Naomi Osaka has entered the US Open semi-finals for the first time since 2018. Osaka defeated unseeded American Shelby Rogers 6-3, 6-4. This was the first win against Rogers in 4 meetings. Osaka had captured her maiden Grand Slam title in US Open in 2018. Alexander Zverev recovered from a set-down to win a 3-hour battle with Borna Coric. Zverev won the match 1-6, 7-6, 7-6, 6-3 to advance to the semi-finals of the US Open. Zverev performed well and smashed 18 aces, while the 23-year-old Coric could only make 5. However, he struggled with consistency and hit 12 double faults, 10 more than Coric. Kasar Semenya has lost an appeal over testosterone restrictions for female athletes. She approached the Swiss Federal Tribunal to set aside a 2019 Court of Arbitration ruling that female athletes with a high natural level of testosterone must take medication to reduce it. The ruling means that South Africa's double Olympic 800 meters champion cannot defend her Olympic 800 meter title in Tokyo next year. Union Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Kiran Rijiju had an online meeting with World Anti-Doping Agency President Vitol Baka yesterday. He reiterated India's commitment towards promoting clean sport. Sports Minister also spoke of the readiness of the National Dope Testing Laboratory to conduct tests as per WADA guidelines. The Sports Minister also invited the WADA team for an on-site visit of NDTL.
It is our pleasure to hear from you about the WADA plans for the future, and we are in unison with WADA on strategic plan for 2020-2024. I have shared my government's concern and commitment for anti-doping in India in my letter dated 22nd of February 2020. I appreciate the assurance given to the visiting Indian delegation to your office in Warsaw in February 2020. And by your good office in your letter dated 26 February 2020 for WADA's support to the NDTL. India is looking forward for more collaborations with WADA for strengthening anti-doping activities world over.
So those were our top stories. Back to you, Amrit.
Well, thank you, Suchitra, for that. And well, that's it then in Midday Prime. We'll be back tomorrow same time at 2 p.m. Don't forget to tune in. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Namaskar.